Part 3 of Tabitha Turtle, a story I wrote to deal with my loss. The next day arrived, and with it came the joyful sounds of Little Bear and Sister Bear once again. Tabitha was determined to overcome her fear and venture out of her rock to speak to the two, who brought her so much joy just by listening to them. She waited for about an hour, and as they splashed around in the water, soon enough they were climbing out of the water and took up the conversation from the day before. As they dried in the sun, they spoke once again with such love in their voices of the lion. Now was her chance. Tabitha took a deep breath, and having hidden her last remaining shell of hope under her belly, she poked her head ever so slightly out of the hole she had dug. She hadn't been out of her darkness for more than a minute when Sister Bear noticed her. She lumbered over to where Tabitha was poking her head out, and when Tabitha saw her coming, she panicked, gulped, and retreated back inside her hole, trembling. But she wasn't able to disappear before Sister Bear got a good look at her. The next time Tabitha knew there was a big brown nose poking into her cave, she almost laughed. It seemed so funny seeing that big bear trying to crawl under such a small rock, but she was too frightened to laugh. Moments later, the big brown nose was gone, and in its place a sweet, kind voice floated inside to Tabitha, asking, "Why are you hiding?" Tabitha was too frightened to answer. She just remained frozen in her place, wanting Sister Bear to keep talking, yet fearing she would. Sister Bear spoke once more. "Who are you? Won't you come out?" Hearing no reply, Sister Bear retreated back to her spot near Little Bear. They resumed their conversation about the lion, and Tabitha remained in her cave, once again listening to the words that seemed so foreign to all that she knew. And on the following day, as the bears returned, Tabitha noticed that they made sure to stay a little distance from her rock. She wondered if they were upset with her, for she didn't realize that they were being kind in giving her space. They didn't want her to feel threatened. When the sun began to go down that day, Tabitha couldn't stay inside any longer. She just had to find out who this lion was and if he could help her. With every ounce of courage she could muster, she once again poked her head out. This time, when Sister Bear saw her, she remained where she was. She said a polite hello and introduced herself and her younger sister, Little Bear. Little Bear squealed with laughter at the sight of the mud-covered turtle head. She rolled over on her back and giggled until Sister Bear gently told her to stop. Tabitha almost wished she hadn't stopped, as she loved to listen to Little Bear's laughter. Besides, as long as they were making noise, she wouldn't have to speak. But the time had come to break her silence. She took a deep breath and told Sister Bear, "My name is Tabitha. I'm so tired of hiding under this rock, but all of my protective shell has been stripped away from me. I have heard so much about the lion, but I don't know how to get to him. Would he even be able to help me get a new shell? Or should I simply crawl back under this rock to live out the rest of my days, the safest way I know how?" Tabitha waited, half expecting the bears to turn tail and run away. She couldn't believe she had just spit out that entire phrase. She just told these two bears how vulnerable she was. What were the consequences going to be now? She waited and watched, too afraid to hope for a response. Unbelievable to Tabitha, Sister Bear sat down on the floor right where she was and began telling Tabitha all about the lion and how he had helped her when she needed him. She told Tabitha how he had helped others find what they were lacking. She also told Tabitha how much the lion loved all those in his kingdom. Well, Tabitha couldn't believe that because where she came from, love had just brought her pain. She couldn't bear to have any more pain and disappointment in her life. But even so, she remained there, listening to everything Sister Bear told her. They talked way into the night, and finally Sister Bear had to say goodnight. She told Tabitha that she and Little Bear would return the following day, and they would talk some more. True to her word, the following day, Sister Bear and Little Bear came bounding down the hill and landed just outside Tabitha's cave. Tabitha once again poked out her head, and they talked for quite some time. Every once in a while, Little Bear would go jump in the river, and giggling loudly, she would splash until Sister Bear and Tabitha were covered in water. Tabitha asked Sister Bear how she could get to the lion. and Sister Bear offered to help her travel to him. Tabitha was frightened. That would mean coming out from under this rock. Sister Bear encouraged Tabitha. She told her that she would be safe, that there were others like herself and Little Bear who could help take her to see the lion. Ooh, Tabitha didn't want to meet the others. Visions of what had happened to her the last time she went to meet the others flooded her mind. Nope. She would either stay forever under this rock or she would just try to trust Sister Bear and Little Bear. But she would not trust anyone else. Mm-mm. Desperately clutching hope between her teeth, Tabitha asked Sister Bear, "Will you take me to see the lion?" Sister Bear grinned from ear to ear and with a resounding yes, called for Little Bear to come join them. They were going to set out at that very moment to see the lion. They had a long way to go, and Tabitha was in a hurry to meet him. So, although she wanted to go with him so desperately, it was tough coaxing her out of her rock shelter. The thought of being so exposed caused her to shrink back in fear. It took 3 days for the bears to finally get Tabitha to come out from under the rock shelter, and then she only did it because she held tightly to Sister Bear's paw. What a sight they were. Sister Bear in the lead, holding the tiny hand of the little mud-covered Tabitha, and close behind, trotting back and forth on the path, was Little Bear. Little Bear's cheery voice constantly encouraged Tabitha each time she would cower in fear. The path was dark and scary, and at times there were strange noises that frightened Tabitha. Sometimes Sister Bear had to let go of Tabitha's hand momentarily, and Tabitha hated those times. She knew Sister Bear was still close by, close enough to protect Tabitha if by chance a predator came by, but she felt so vulnerable. Day after day, Little Bear and Sister Bear spoke of the lion. They promised Tabitha that the lion would accept her no matter what had happened in her past, and for whatever reasons, her shell of protection had been torn away. Tabitha slowly began to relax, and she even believed the words she heard. It was a few weeks into the journey before Tabitha realized they were no longer alone. She caught glimpses every now and then of some monkeys swinging in the trees overhead, keeping pace with the bears. There were also times she spotted a few frogs hopping along, either a little ahead of them or a little behind. And there were other animals she wasn't quite so familiar with, animals she had never seen before. She soon realized they were all following her on this path, yet they didn't seem threatening. Sister Bear and Little Bear, she noticed, didn't seem to mind their presence. In fact, as time wore on, Tabitha herself welcomed their presence. She felt protected as she traveled along with the bears and her new animal friends on this journey. Not once had she been attacked by a bird while she traveled along with her new friends. This journey, although long, wasn't as scary as Tabitha thought it would be. One night, she witnessed Sister Bear chasing away a raccoon that had gotten too close to them. From that moment on, Tabitha felt even safer. Oh, Tabitha didn't know life could be so good. She longed for the day she would finally meet the lion, and still she wondered if he could really be as wonderful as all her new found friends claimed he was. The more relaxed Tabitha became, the faster she was able to walk. She could now leave Sister Bear's side and join the others walking along this path. She became fast friends with the monkeys, who could swing down and chatter with her and make her laugh. Oh, she wished she could fly up high in the trees with them, but she couldn't, so she would just concentrate on walking forwards. She was excited about all she was learning and would run often to tell Sister Bear all about the things her friend shared with her. She was still nervous about seeing the lion, but she kept going, knowing that her only hope of standing on her own would be to find him. Thank you for listening to my story. There's one more part to come.